Robin Hood Radio presents Stage Right or Not with Michele Willens. Michele is a longtime journalist and herself is a published playwright of several theatrical works. She's a frequent contributor to the Huffington Post, Daily Beast, and the Atlantic websites.
Another opening of another show.
All right, the good news is that Broadway, which is still struggling to rebound, is starting the new year with positive numbers. The 33 shows running the final week of 2022 grossed $51 million, which is the most since the final week of 2019. The Lion King, 25 years old and still roaring, reached a rather amazing milestone. It grossed $4.3 million, which is the most ever taken in by a show in a single week on Broadway. So 21 shows grossed more than $1 million apiece. Now, both Christmas and New Year's days fell on Sunday, so that placed holiday travelers into a single week, so to speak. 20 shows added extra performances for that week, giving 9 instead of the usual 8. Ticket prices were especially high. The average Broadway seat went for $166, up from $128. So those are the caveats. But still, the 22 musicals and 11 plays running were on average 92% full. That's the good news. The bad news, some shows continue to close early. The latest one, which I cautioned folks to keep an eye on, you might recall, is Ohio State Murders. Now, that's a drama from Adrian Kennedy, who has been rediscovered at the age of 91. The show will now play its final performance on January 15th. That's about a month ahead of time. At the end of its run, Ohio State Murders will have played 29 previews and 39 performances. The play stars 6-time Tony Award winner Audra McDonald, but acting, not singing, and was directed by Kenny Leon, both respected stage names. But the show had struggled to fill more than 50% capacity and will not come close to recouping a $5 million cost. And you wonder why producers are finding it hard to get investors these days? Adrian Kennedy is a black playwright who, as I said, has enjoyed a way too tardy renaissance. Now, a current black female playwright is having a year like few others. And on February 16th, Suzanne Laurie Parks brings to the Public Theater a new musical adaptation of the 1972 movie, The Harder They Come. The Pulitzer Prize winner has already had at least 2 shows this past year, including a top-notch revival of Top Dog Underdog. The Harder They Fall tells the story of a young singer who arrives in Jamaica eager to become a star. After falling in love and cutting a record deal, he soon learns that the game is rigged. And, well, life gets challenging. The show features some hits from Jimmy Cliff called You Can Get It If You Really Want and Many Rivers to Cross. It's getting busy on the public's stages, by the way, running through January 22nd there, as well as 5 partner venues. It's the Public Theater's Under the Radar Festival. That's the first one since 2020. This one was canceled just weeks before opening because of an upsurge in COVID. But Under the Radar presents a wide array of avant-garde-ish narrative style and tone. One this time is an adaptation of Moby Dick, performed by 50 puppets and an underwater orchestra. Who needs James Cameron, right? Meanwhile, other off-Broadway stuff continues. Stranger Sings, the parody musical, ! Based on the popular Netflix TV series, has announced an extension at Playhouse 46 at St. Luke's. That's on West 46th Street. Originally set to close a week ago, performances will now continue with a limited 8-week extension. For tickets and information, go to strangersings.com. Now, one of my favorite companies, The Mint, has something new, as in an old, as is its reason for being, a play. This one comes from Betty Smith. Now, she's the author of A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, a novel that became one of the biggest bestsellers of the 20th century. Although she found her greatest fame as a novelist, Smith was most passionate about her work as a playwright of more than 70 one-act and full-length dramas. I write plays because I'd rather do that than anything else in the world, she said in 1937. Who knew? But in 1931, Smith won a prestigious award for her full-length play, Becomes a Woman. And that's the very show arriving at the Mint Theater. So we want to see that. Another play based on an admired novel is coming, a stage adaptation of Emma Donohue's best-selling book, Room. Now, that one will open on Broadway in April. No casting or theater has been announced. If you might recall, the book is about a woman trapped in a room for 7 years with her young son. I look forward to seeing how they pull that off. And the stories of the descendants of Holocaust survivors go on, as well they should. For example, Remembrance of Things Present, the latest production from The Braid, is a curated collection of true stories brought to life by professional actors. These stories offer heroism, healing, and hope at a moment when they are sorely needed. Remembrance of Things Present will be performed live on Zoom worldwide, January 22nd through February 6th, and in April on stage in New York City, so stay tuned for that. And for more info, go to thebraid.org/remembrance. And exciting stuff is rehearsing as we speak. Sweeney Todd is returning to Broadway next month, starring Josh Groban and Annalee Ashford. Directed by Tony Award winner Thomas Kail of Hamilton fame, and featuring music and lyrics by, of course, Stephen Sondheim. Well, it's hard to top that. Though Jessica Chastain in A Doll's House, a new one with Nathan Lane, and a star-studded revival of Camelot, script by Aaron Sorkin, thank you, are nothing to sneeze at. Well, negative things can still happen at the theater, and they still do. Death of a Salesman had a recent performance disrupted by an audience member who approached the Broadway production stage. The star of the show, Wendell Pierce, was forced to break character, no longer Willie Loman, to deal with the seemingly inebriated woman. When the house lights came up, said another member of the audience, he patiently and heroically pleaded with her to leave peacefully, despite her insistence that she should be carried out forcefully. And she was eventually escorted out by police. Ugh. Anyway, it is a time to look back at our favorite Broadway shows in 2022. No lists from me, thank you. But I sure enjoyed some Like It Hot, Leopoldstadt, Piano Lesson, Into the Woods, Death of a Salesman, Music Man, and a few others. And I'm keeping hope alive, Jill, that the strong numbers continue.
Which we will, well, that's good, because usually at the beginning of the year, not only are you, people aren't particularly hopeful. So that's good.
Yeah, well, a lot of shows are closing in January. I think 6 are closing today, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, a bunch of them are closing in January, but they're rehearsing for February, so.
But as we always have to say when we state that, when haven't they closed in January?
That's right. That's right.
And that's relevant because.
No, it's a notoriously poor time here. People.
Well, also, if even if shows are kept going, or they make it through the holidays, frequently. And then there's the other thing. I've always wondered about this. Don't people need to be freed up to go into other shows in a lot of cases, or no?
Some of the actors.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, of course. Well, some of these are limited runs, as we know, and then they are free to go to. That's why a lot of people leave. They're replaced by somebody because they have to go to another commitment. Sometimes limited shows, as we've talked about here, are just a way of saying, "Hey, get your tickets now so we can extend."
Are we
wink, wink?
Are we including the limited runs closing in your list of 6?
Yeah. Into the Woods is closing. A Death of a Salesman is closing. Music Man is closing. These are big shows.
But Music Man was not a limited run.
No, that's been up for a year.
And Into the Woods came in September as a limited run. So
that's right. And that kept getting extended because of demand. So
right.
That's always that hope.
Was there the expectation that it would stay?
Into the Woods?
Yeah.
I don't think any longer, to
okay.
be honest. Though it certainly could. I mean.
Yeah. What I'm actually trying to do is, what do they call it? Beneath the headline. What I'm trying to figure out is how many shows actually are closing in January. So far, we've got Music Man, which was good but limping along without Hugh Jackman.
Full year run. Beetlejuice is closing. That had come from behind. Came back again. That's closing. By the way, my favorite show. Why didn't I mention this when I said my favorite shows of the year? I promised my favorite show was Billy Crystal's show, Mr. Saturday Night. And they are showing that now. You can watch that from home. I think it's on Broadway.com. Check it out. All you have to do is hit Billy Crystal's Mr. Saturday Night to watch from home. I really suggest that. I'm going to make my husband watch that because he didn't come with me when I saw that. I just love that show.
All right. So, and what's great is like we'll just put that at the top of the list since it was the last one you mentioned. This is the unfortunate thing about lists is people remember the last thing you said.
Well, okay, so let's remember Billy Crystal. And the next thing I'm going to say when I see you next week will be about Neil Diamond, because I'm going to his show this week.
All right.
So I will be talking about A Beautiful Noise, and let's hope it's beautiful.
Stage Right or Not with Michele Willens, produced in the studios of Robin Hood Radio, robinhoodradio.com.